Hello, everyone. Okay, so this is a little unorthodox. Normally, this video would be posted just to a certain group of patrons on the Patreon Sucks website. However, I'm in a little bit of a predicament right now where it looks like I have been locked out of the website just in the past hour, and my web guy is on vacation. I've called him about like 20 times and he's not responding, so today I have posted this live stream just in the Facebook group, so there'll probably be a few more people here than usual. And for those of you who are in a higher reward tier so that you can be a part of this second live stream, I will do something to make it up to you since this was supposed to be an exclusive live stream just for you. And I am doing a raffle coming up soon for these wonderful right-wing Hog Squad hoodies. Even if you don't like right-wing Hog Squads, they are really freaking comfortable, and it is Porridge, my hedgehog, on the front doing the okay hand sign. So I am going to do a second extra raffle. You'll be entered in both raffles, the one for everyone and also the raffle just for the people part of this reward tier that this video was for. So I really do apologize, and hopefully, I really hope there wasn't anyone that only checked the website for this live stream, because in that case, I feel really bad, and I will do something to make it up for you. But for those of you in the live stream now, hopefully most of you made it through the Facebook group. Let's jump into the comments and talking and figure out what's going on with everyone, because as bad as I feel right now, this is the best I can do. I posted it to the Facebook group. I'm trying. Welcome, Faux Posterity and Dean Mutta. The website works on your end, but it's not working on my end right now. So basically, I can log in as someone who can comment on stuff like you guys, but I'm unable to log into the back end of the site where I can actually post things, like as a post, like where I usually post the links with the photos and the text. WordPress is going absolutely spaghetti on me, so that kind of sucks. You probably saw about the Truck of Peace in Edmonton. Yeah, I did see about the Truck of Peace in Edmonton. It's very, very sad, unfortunate situation, but I haven't actually looked into all the details yet. As I was telling people in the last live stream, I've been focusing on writing a new According to Science video the last little bit, and I was scrolling through my Twitter feed this morning and saw another Truck of Peace, and I was like, well, it's just another weekend basically at this point. I mean, it's a little odd in Canada since it doesn't happen that often there, but worldwide, terrorism is just, it's happening all the time in the West, especially in Europe. The admin is being flagged and being run against a database for anomalies. That makes sense. I mean, I did try to log in a lot this morning. I live in Edmonton, and the automatic response seems to be, we can't let hate win, stop Islamophobia. That is extremely depressing. But I remember I did a video when it came to the truck attack on the bridge in London, and that was the whole theme there too. We can't let hate win. By letting these terrorists in, by letting them run people over, and by letting them continually do it and then making excuses for them, I gotta say, I think hate is winning. And it's not the hate from the people who want to stop the killing, it's the hate from the people who are doing it. And not only that, I think hate is a little justified when people, especially the guys at the Bataclan Theater, are mutilating teenagers, gouging their eyes out, running people over, and just murderous maniacs. I think hate is a little justified there. So this whole anthem of we can't let hate win, oh, it makes me so mad. It is so ignorant, and it's such a virtue signal. Like, you guys just wait. The people giving this chant of don't let hate win, just wait for how hateful you will be if it is one of your family members that is taken away in one of these terrible, catastrophic terrorist incidents. In Norway, they don't have it because they got enough money. Islam is like socialism redistribution. Nice ring, got a story to it. I'm probably facing the other way in this. This is not an engagement ring. This is my engaged hand. Still empty. No, I literally just bought this at a pharmacy. It was just on the, like, cheap ring rack. I thought it was cute, though. Don't forget that diversity is our strength. Yeah, thanks, Canada. I've been saying this for the last bit. As you start to see, if you guys don't know much about Vancouver, BC, I grew up around that area, and my family actually had to move out of our hometown, Surrey. My parents are racist, not because they're hateful people, but because it got to a point when we were living there that my dad would go to get coffee in the morning. He would try to do business meetings. He would try to pick up the paper. And it wasn't in English, to the point where like, the people weren't even trying to learn English. They just stared at him and were like, why are you speaking English here? Like this isn't an English speaking area anymore. This is like an Indian area. The area I was a very Indian area at that time. And it was near the Guru Nanak Temple. You can look it up online. It's like 78% Indian now or something. And they literally have schools where you won't see a single European kid, not a single one. That's not diversity. I'm sorry, but that is a quarantined off zone of just a certain people. And then when you go more towards the downtown core, it's all Chinese, like to the extent where politicians have to run their campaigns in Chinese. They can't do it in English. And you have meetings going on, political meetings going on in Chinese, and you have the communist China flag being raised outside the community centers and government buildings. It is absolute insanity, and we had to move out of that area because it's not a matter of racism, but it's a matter of you want to have a community. You want to be able to communicate with people. You want to be able to order your coffee and have a nice conversation with the person. And it's going to get to a point in Canada where these mosaics take up so much space. It's no longer a mosaic. One part eats the rest of the mosaic and just becomes the majority of it. That kids are no longer going to be okay. Millennials are no longer going to be okay with the answer, diversity is our strength. They're going to get a little bit curious about what the experiment of diversity and multiculturalism actually means. And the liberal mantra of diversity is our strength is not going to be a good enough answer for them, especially 50 to 100 years from now when maybe they'll just be speaking Chinese in Canada. They're going to want to know, what is our identity? What is our meaning? What is our purpose? What is our culture? What is our country? You can't have a country without languages, cultures, and borders. You have to have those three things. And if you don't, then you don't have a country. And no matter how many times you repeat diversity is our strength, it's not going to fix it. It's not going to get rid of the questions or the problem. Sorry. Whew. Rant done. Rant over, guys. I have a bit of a stuffy nose, so I sound really stupid right now. I apologize. I'm wondering what you think of this. I don't mind Canada being diverse and multi-ethnic, but as for ethnic cultural homelands like England, Sweden, Japan, I think they shouldn't be as diverse. I actually have the same sympathies. Like, I don't think, when it comes to ethnic homelands, I am an actual believer in diversity. I want those cultures to remain strong, and I want them to exist to this day. When I visit Japan, I actually don't want to be the majority there. I want to walk around and have people be like, oh, it's a blonde girl. Like, you don't usually see that there, because I want to visit a different culture. I want to go to the onsens there. I want to learn about their history, because it's more than just skin color there. It's actual family lines and bloodlines. And you learn to behave a certain way when you're part of those family lines. You get certain cultural ideas. You have more respect for the land. I explained this story when I was doing an interview for the Culture Report. When I went to Poland, you walk to the graveyards in some of the smaller towns there, and I'm not kidding, every single grave, and it was the middle of the day, it wasn't like, and weren't that many people there. It wasn't even after work hours or anything, but you walked to the graves, and every single grave there had a light flickering on it, a candle that had been lit, and new flowers. And that's not something you see in Canada or America. You don't see that. Those gravestones, they're forgotten. The names of the people on there, no one speaks them anymore unless they're visiting and creeping the graves. And they're no longer cleaned. They no longer have flowers on them. The families have moved and are long gone from the area. And it's a very sad thing to see. But in these small towns in Poland, they're all clean. They all have the lights flickering. And there's enough family lines in that area that have grown old there and held the land and respect their tradition and culture that they go and visit and they light those candles. And that flame of their family never disappears. So that blood and soil of the homeland is a very real thing, I think, and I believe that for all people. I don't think Nigeria should become a minority Nigerian population. I don't think Japan should become a minority Japanese population, and I don't think Sweden should become a minority Swedish population, because I want those cultures and those family lines to live on. Canada and America are a bit different. They're an experiment of an idea, and the nation was started quite literally. Like, you had the Chinese that built the railroads. Of course, you had African Americans that were brought there against their will, being sold by their own tribes to come over and do slave labor on that land. It was a nation that was built maybe by the ideas of Europeans, but multiple groups of Europeans, lots of different, very different cultures of Europeans, and also different peoples from around the world, Chinese, African, and so on. So when it comes to America and Canada, I think there has to be a very strong defensive culture that is not happening now, and that's why you're seeing a failure of a multicultural experiment. But when it comes to homelands, I think that's a little bit of a different story. I don't think it's wrong that Denmark said Denmark should not become a minority Danish country. I don't think that's hateful or wrong at all. I think it's respectful to a very long history of families that have lived there. Some people don't realize that certain cultures aren't too keen on women's or gays' rights. Yeah, it's going to be unfortunate when they learn that the hard way. And you'd think that Orlando nightclub would have woken a few people up to the reality of that, but it doesn't seem that. Cassandra Fairbanks, when I was staying with her in Berkeley, she was telling me that a lot of the reason she became right-wing and a Trump supporter, because she was a huge Bernie supporter, but she had a friend that was shot in the Orlando nightclub attack, and when she found out about it, like, her friend's mother, her mother was at the hospital. A ton of people she knew were at the hospital paying attention to this, and she was talking to people who were attacked, and they were telling her it was a terrorist that was screaming Allahu Akbar. And she told her other progressive friends that, her other Bernie friends that, like, this is horrible, we need to talk about this. And they legitimately got angry with her. They got angry with her, saying, how could you say it was a terrorist? Why are you being Islamophobic? Why are you hateful? And Cassandra's response was, I literally had friends there that were telling us it was an Islamic attack, and you're more concerned about virtue signaling, you're more concerned about not being seen as hateful than what just happened to our friend who was shot. So that was something that red-pilled her. But how many more people have to die? How many more people's family members have to die before they realize what's going on? That's the real question. And I thought that after the Manchester attack, I was like, that's a mainstream individual. That's Ariana Grande. You know, after the London Bridge attack, after all of the attacks last summer, Ramadan Bombathon, I thought the culture would change, and it is just not changing. And I do not understand. The indoctrination seems to be too deep. In Europe, we might as well build new houses and migrant centers over the cemeteries. It's basically what they're doing, yeah. No, they're just giving up current Europeans' houses and giving those to migrants. I fully agree with you on this, Lauren Southern. It's pretty much precisely my sentiment. Yeah, the Poland thing was a beautiful thing to witness, and I hope that doesn't go away. And I think it'll be very sad if that does disappear as a result of this EU multiculturalism agenda. Although I do think it was quite funny what Poland's response was to the EU, who said they were going to fine them if they didn't take migrants. Didn't they say that Germany, because obviously Merkel is spearheading a lot of this EU stuff, they demanded that Germany pay them more reparations if they were to take a hit for not taking in migrants. So you got a little funny kind of backlash going on there. Good on Poland. Good on Poland for that. Did you know that Germany actually just paid back their reparations, like only like in 2010 or something? It's like an insane amount of reparations they had to pay. And I'd be like, that's ridiculous that people who didn't even commit crimes from World War II have to pay this and have to pay for what other people did. But at the same time, I don't mind Poland kind of sticking it to Germany, who are putting in ridiculous policies through the EU. when Muslims start throwing gays off buildings, people may finally get it. Oh, wait a second. They're already doing that. Yeah. No kidding, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. They always say, this is what's interesting. They always say, like, white people, Europeans, everyone in the West, they don't care about when brown people die. They don't care about what happens in the Middle East when Middle Easterners are bombed. And to an extent, yeah, I think it's crazy that there isn't as much news when a bomb goes off in the Middle East as there is when someone gets punched in the face on the red carpet. That's pretty crazy, right? But leftists also don't seem to give a damn if any minorities are killed by Islam. They don't. Which every single day there's a terrorist attack going on in Christian churches all over the Islamic world. There are gays being thrown off roofs, being flogged under just ridiculous laws. In Chechnya, they've got tons of anti-gay laws being passed, and they don't even care about that. It's insane. Like, even if it's in technically like first world area. I don't get it. I don't get it. There's too much cognitive dissonance going on. The 2+4 treaty or so freed us from reparations. One thing I noticed is that while the West is so open and apologetic, people like Trudeau think that everyone will come together in harmony and respect. They think that. I think that when it comes to the people that, okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story right now. I've had conversations with people that are seen as mainstream media commentators, that are seen as leftist liberal figures. And I've had personal conversations with them before, and there's a part of me that really wants to go public with it, but it's like, I didn't record it. And because I didn't record it and I didn't do the whole undercover thing, I think I'd just get in trouble for spreading potentially false information, and it would just become a he said, she said situation. But just between us, I've had conversations with these people, and they know exactly what they're doing. They know they're getting money from it. They know Trump's not racist. They know Islam is a problem. They know stuff that's even like stuff I wouldn't necessarily talk about. Like, I had someone that was a like mainstream far left reporter like talking about like race and IQ to me, and I was like literally that you would be fired from your job so fast, and you know that if you said this in public. And like, it's just crazy to me, because I think a lot of these people in the mainstream media, they're quite smart people. They're clever. They know that Islam is bad. They know that this multicultural experiment can't work when you have savage cultures or when you have people that won't even learn the same language or assimilate. They know this, but they're also smart enough and have, this is the issue, you have mixed with low honesty and low EQ, where they don't really care that much about other people, and they're sociopaths. So they're willing to manipulate the situation, and they're willing to lie. They're willing to for money and fame and popularity. And this is one of the other things with IQ. You have a lot of people talk about how IQ is so important, and IQ is what makes the human being in a person, and that's why we need to disregard any groups that statistically on average have lower IQs or whatever. But I gotta say, the people with the highest IQ on earth that I have ever met in my entire life are some of the worst people I've ever met. There's some great people in there, but there's some of also the worst people I've ever met in my entire life, because not only really smart, but they're bad. So they use their smartness to do awful things. So there's more than IQ that makes a person. Creativity, lovingness, be honesty, like and tradition, these things really make a person. And I don't really care how high someone's IQ is if they're a terrible person and they don't have these other aspects to them, because you can do a lot of damage when you get an awful person with a high IQ. And I think that's a lot of these liberals and elites in the media. I think they know exactly what they're doing. In fact, I know some of them know exactly what they're doing, and they don't care that they're lying to us. They don't care that they're lying to you. They don't care that they're manipulating young people to literally ruin their lives. It's all about them, and they're sociopaths, and they honestly, they don't see a reason. They don't see a reason not to do it. With IQ thing, there's that quote about education without values only creates a more clever devil. No kidding. That's a very good quote. I quite like that. I'm going to save that quote. Thank you for the good quote. The EU can't do anything with Poland. Hungary will veto. And they can't do anything with Hungary. Poland will veto. Problem solved. It's such a beautiful relationship. Leftists have got so effing little to moan about. Effing cat in a hat is being called racist now. No kidding. And these people are all of them are their chai latte sipping elites that are in their fucking, I'm sorry, gated communities. I try not to swear, but I get angry. They're all in their gated communities, and they'll start complaining. They'll start screeching at the top of their lungs how crap needs to change when it starts affecting them, and it'll be possibly too late by then. They'll have brought down a civilization single-handedly with their laziness, their bad ideas, and their selfishness. We call this cognitive competence, which is missed in African Americans. I don't know what you're talking about there. Break out your waterfall thing. I'll grab that. IQ tests only show how good you are at solving IQ tests. The most intelligent people I know would never brag about their high intelligence. That's exactly it. There has to be a level of stoicism to it, a level of wisdom. I think wisdom is something that we have a very difficult time measuring. And I really like when Jordan Peterson talks about this, because he says that some of the smartest people I know, not that wise. They use their intelligence for horrible things, and they get all uppity about it and stuck up, and they think they're better than everyone. And then he's like, some of the dumbest people I've met are very, very, well, not dumb, but like they don't have high IQs. They're not people that are professors or anything. They have like they're like a landscaper or something, or a plumber, which I actually, you have to be pretty smart to do those jobs. I don't know what I'm talking about, but just people that aren't in the high and mighty elites of society. And he says they're much wiser. They make wise decisions that make them happy. They sit down and say, well, I'm going to work hard and be honest and good and true and have a wife and kids, and I'm going to hold my tongue until the right time. I'm going to make sure what I say is kind and thoughtful, instead of just like look at the guy I debated on gun control on Sky News. The guy that kept calling me Miss Southern and just speaking down at me. He may be very, very smart. He's written 10 books. I remember being very afraid after Wikipediaing him and saying, oh my goodness, this guy's a professor at a ton of universities. He's respected. He has 10 books and tons of papers. I'm terrified. And then he goes onto national TV and he makes a fool of himself. A total fool of himself, because he wasn't wise. He was angry, and he was so stuck up with his position, and he didn't think anyone, especially a young woman, could be more right than him. So he embarrassed himself because he didn't have the wisdom. And yes, JT, I will grab my waterfall thing. I'll have to run downstairs and grab it in a minute here. I'll just answer a few more. The quote is from C.S. Lewis. Education without values is as useful as it is. Seems rather to make man a more clever devil. C.S. Lewis has always been a favorite of mine. I grew up reading him. I'm going to certainly read him to my kids as well. Left folks know shit they do, but they are more concerned with manipulating less enlightened people's emotion to elevate their own status. It's sinister as F. Yeah, it is. No joke, Lord. Dr. Balzer, MOP, really would agree to an interview. I'll look it up. I'll look it up and see if he wants to do an interview. Studies have shown that individuals who repress their desire to swear trains your brain in a negative fashion regarding your creativity when talking. I'll have to look into that. I do it simply because I feel like it's respectful to older generations who may watch my videos sometimes and just live in a different culture and society than ours. I know swear words are just used like very normally in millennial language, but I like to be a little bit respectful sometimes. I slip up because obviously I'm younger and I've grown up and watched videos in the culture that I am in now that doesn't see swearing as that much of a sacred thing or something that's really, really offensive. But I do like to have a little bit of respect for those in older generations, but I won't language police others. I'm not into that. Anyways, I will be right back. It's getting dark out. I'm losing light here, guys. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab something called a Hoshin that I wanted to show you before it gets totally dark, and it'll be 2 seconds. see if we can make it any brighter in here. Dang, it's dark. Oh, sorry. Honestly, I don't even know why I'm putting in headphones. There's no audio on my end. I think it's just force of habit. All right. So I'm going to make sure there's nothing too private on this first. Okay. All right, so this is going to look confusing as all heck when I turn this around, but I'll explain it. Okay, this is my Hoshin. So I wrote down all of the things I kind of want for a fulfilled life, and I had some guys help me do this. So these are the things that I want. I want to improve and maintain my health. I want to stay true and honest and to not forget my values. I want the means to fulfill my higher purpose being to share the truth and to try to influence things. That's another one I have, to share truth and try to influence things for the better. I must enhance my stability and organization. I am so disorganized. I must have a purpose higher than myself. That's a big one. I must have a family and children. That's something I want one day. I must have deep, meaningful relationships. I must continue to grow and learn. So these are all the things that I wanted to do with my life. I just burped. That's really embarrassing. I'm sorry, guys. Then I took them and I wrote on the back what order I thought they were in order of importance in my life. And then what happened was the guys that I was doing this with, they were actually the guys that designed the business model for Toyota and also Harvard University, I believe. So they took them and had these companies do the exact same thing that I did. And they stuck one of these stickers down, and then they stuck another down. And they said, okay, Lauren, you said I must have a higher purpose in my life. The next one beside it was, I must enhance my stability and organization. And then they said, which comes first? I was like, what are you guys talking about? Which comes first? And they said, which one is a cause and an effect, basically. And I said, well, I guess having a higher purpose and a meaning in my life would be the reason I would get organized and stable. Like, why would I get organized if I don't have a purpose for doing that? So my higher purpose went, and I take an arrow and I point it towards that. And basically it reorganizes your life to what is a cause and an effect. And you put each of these down and you decide which ones are a cause and which ones an effect. And that helps you to create that waterfall effect of what you need to do first before other actions can happen. So like things that I put down as like the second or third most important thing in my life actually became like the 9th most important thing in my life, because they, like family, all of the arrows are pointing towards family, not out of family. So having relationships is something that creates a family, not the other way around. Having a good health, that's something that creates a family, not the other way around. So I have to get these things first before I get this thing. Is this making any sense? I'm going to check the comments to make sure this is making sense. What are the arrows for? Those are cause and effect arrows. So basically it's saying you point them from which one. So all of these arrows are going into family because family is a result. It is not something that I have to do first. You have your foundation. So my health, my values, and staying true to those values are my foundation. Then you have the actions you take, like getting organized, continuing to learn and grow, sharing my truth or whatever. I can't remember which exact. No, that's the last one. Anyways, like continuing to learn and grow and maintaining and getting organized were actions. And then the results will be things like family. And the results will be things like being able to share the truth and influence things for the better. So these are things that I actually don't have to actively work towards as long as I actively work towards my foundation and my actions. So that's the last one over here. You get your foundations and your actions. I could do a more organized video on this. I might just do a more organized video on it because this is actually like a really great thing for organizing your life and having a better, healthier existence, which is the first step, I think, to changing society as a whole. Individuals are statistics. They are part of statistics. When they say a million people are whatever is oh my gosh, spaghetti. Whatever a statistic is, it is made up of individuals. So if we can change how individuals live their life and improve that to make them more susceptible to having families, more susceptible to happiness, to conservative values, to community, then I believe we can change the world through changing individuals. I know that sounds stupid, I'm gay, whatever, but I genuinely believe that. So I'm an optimist for myself, for sure, and I'm an optimist for the individuals who I can influence to have happier, better existences. Please do a video on it. This seems really good. I will, actually. I'm going to contact those guys that I spoke to, and maybe they'll be interested in talking about it as well, because they had some really cool, awesome advice, and life improvement advice is something that I really appreciate myself. Lauren's new job is a life coach. I'm trying. Faith Goldie wants to do that. She's really interested in doing more lifestyle videos. And I think that as much as I initially was like, oh, that's stupid when people just like take you on vlogs and show what they do in their daily life, it kind of dawned on me that maybe that's why a lot of the conservative right-wing movement is failing, because a lot of us don't take the time to talk about how we live on a day-to-day basis, which all of our values come from how we live on a day-to-day basis, and we're not kind of invading that market much. A lot of the advice on relationships, on values, families, it's coming from people that are like, degeneracy is great. Let's just have fun and have sex and do drugs and it'll be awesome, and, you know, get new fake titties. And that's like all the people that are running the lifestyle vlogs. So if there were vlogs coming from people that are like, here's my kids and my family, and we're really happy, and we're a nuclear normal family, and we've been happy because we live that way, and here's some etiquette lessons, here's when we go to church on Sunday, or whatever they do, whatever normal people do, you know, those normal people. No, I'm joking. But really cool to have more vloggers kind of like that, and I'm really trying to encourage Faith to start doing that, because I think that's a great idea. I was feeling very dismissive, but it makes total sense. It's a constructive method to analyzing your goals and thoughts and create a plan you can refer back to in order to bring more positive consistency. Yes, I'll do a, that was a terrible explanation of it, because I was starting from what the end result looks like, and it's much more helpful to go through it from the very beginning. So I'm going to go through it from the very beginning and show people in a video how it works, because I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I gave a terrible explanation in this chat. I'm so sorry. I'll do a better video on it. On the surface, it seems like it's trite and bland, but to see how other people live and work to success is extremely helpful. That's the thing. It's the simple things that change your life. Like, it seems so simple to say, just eat differently, just go work out. But if you actually do those two things, it'll change your life. It's so true. It's like, that's not bad advice. And people have made entire channels on just eating healthy, like, because there's so much more complex individual nuances to it. And just changing one or two things in your life, like what time you wake up in the morning, can change your whole life. We all have an underlying desire to make positive changes, but without a plan of action, our goals rarely get achieved. I completely agree with that. Yeah, I remember a lot of what I do now, like when I went to university, when I joined the army and stuff, but a lot of what I did now was because I wrote down a life plan. I had a fixated life plan that I'd written down on a piece of paper, and while there may have been detours and random opportunities that appeared out of nowhere, or crazy things where I wasn't able to do the same thing I wanted to, I was able to navigate those because I had a stable idea of what I want to do and what my values are. And I can't thank my family enough for giving me that stability and those values. And I feel really bad for people who have access to that great family, especially with the nuclear family really being destroyed these days, and people growing up in single mother homes and such. So I do think this simple life planning stuff could be very helpful for people who weren't quite as lucky as others in having this kind of life planning help. Did you have to make this in school? No. We had a life planning class. Oh, okay. It's starting to get really dark and I'm going to lose light. So I'm going to have to leave soon. But I'm going to tell you a funny story because we had a life planning class when I was in grade 10. And basically, I'm not kidding. People would just leave the class. They could just walk out of it because the teacher spent most of her time doing online shopping. Really great education. But when we did have projects that we had to do to get marked, it was like, write down 5 reasons why you love yourself so much. That was like the project. It was ridiculous. And so we did that. One of our big final essays was to write about your life and then write what you want in life. And it was just like grade 10. So like what interesting life things could we have done by then? It's like I fell off the swings once. I won a volleyball competition, but I wrote mine out. Everyone was just really passive about it. And they were like, whatever, I'll just write down whatever and just pass. No one actually cared that much because the teacher didn't care that much. I wrote mine out. And then the kid beside me said, hey, Lauren, can I copy your homework? I didn't finish mine today. And I wasn't a snitch. I wasn't going to snitch on him or say no. So I handed him my paper and he literally copied his life plan and life up until now project directly off me, writing down like I won the volleyball championship in grade 8. I dyed my hair this color, and like every single detail that I'd written down, he copied it exactly. And the teacher hands back our assignments like a week later, and I've got a B+ and he has an A+. I'm like, what? We wrote the exact same freaking thing. How did this kid get an A+? And I swear on my life, this teacher looked at us and said, she's a blonde girl and he's an Asian guy, B+, A+, and just graded it like that and handed it back. And that's the only explanation I have. So it's just totally ridiculous. But I'll answer a couple more questions and then I'm going to leave because I'm looking like right now, like pretty spooky. Ghost Lauren. Yeah, Lauren after dark. Like it's actually going to get really dark and it's like only my pale white skin that you can see in this stream at the moment. Start spooky campfire stories. I have some spooky ones. I'll have to save them for later streams, but I have some spook stories. Wait, you did not understand my comment concerning Dr. Balzer. Can you PM me or let me break through your email? Send John Patreon sucks in that little messenger. I was replying to some of them today. I check that all the time. One goal I think you would improve every human being is being able to accept being wrong and not being ashamed of seeking better knowledge. That is a very good one. Being able to accept you are wrong. And Collins, he is game to have you on. Really? He's game to have me? That's really cool. All right, I'm going to check that right now. I may be on LBC Radio, guys. Okay, I'm going to wrap up here, guys. It's getting pretty spooky. Oh, I should do a spooky story for Halloween. That would be a lot of fun. I'm okay. Just a quick spook story since it's really dark. I don't know. I didn't really want to talk about this one because it's kind of embarrassing, and I didn't really want too many people to know about it. But this is kind of a private stream. But when we were in Berkeley, someone broke into the house that we were staying in, and all of the guys had gone out for watching Kingsman. They went to go see a movie, and it was just like Brittany Pettibone, Cassandra Fairbanks, and I in the house. And we heard something big smash in the kitchen and footsteps walk in. And Antifa had been trying to track us down all week. So we just ran into the closest room and locked the door. And we were all freaking out because we still heard footsteps in the house. So we went out and we crawled out the window. And we had to go, and I found this like awning on the roof, and we all had to lie on our bellies for like half an hour there. And it took forever for the police to get there and come and creep the building. I swear the guy just left after he heard people in the house, but we weren't sure if he had left. Like I literally thought the guy was going to come out onto the roof and shoot us there. It was the spookiest experience of my life. We tried to make sure it didn't get much media coverage, but honestly, like for half an hour, I thought we were going to get shot on a roof. And I was trying to figure out if I could survive the jump down because we were like the 3rd floor up. Spooky story. I'm not very good at telling that one because I don't like remembering it, but that was a not very good experience from Berkeley. I'll tell some good spooky stories for Halloween. Sorry, just checking questions. Okay, I'll check your private message for sure. And I will finish. So right now, just an update before we finish up the stream. I've got like 4 videos that I need to edit that Brittany Pettibone and I did. It's daunting looking at all of the footage I have to go through. Then I'm working on the brand new episode of According to Science, and Faith and I are working on a big story that we're going to go travel to go report on. So exciting things coming up. And yeah, let's talk later. Take it easy, guys. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm sorry things were a little out of whack this time and that I'm slowly fading into the darkness as we speak. My light is broken up there. It's a very sad situation, but we got through most of the stream. So I'll catch you next time, and there will be I'll be back on the site in like tomorrow, hopefully, because my video guy, or not my video guy, my website guy will be back at work tomorrow, so I'll be able to access it again and make this post. I'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in.